Okay. Look, the Leader of the Opposition said about the choices that you made that, I'm quoting here, for months, Reeves has lied to the public to justify record tax hikes to pay for more welfare. Did you lie?
Look, I'm a Labour Chancellor. I want to reduce child poverty. I make no apologies for that. This will be the biggest ever reduction in child poverty in a parliament ever. And I'm proud to be the Chancellor that lifts 500,000 kids out of poverty. That means kids not going to bed hungry. It means kids not waking up in cold and damp homes. And I am proud, and I'm very happy to defend the choices I've made.
I just asked you, did you lie? And I have to say, the answer I was looking for was no.
No.
I didn't hear the word no.
But you also asked about welfare in that question.
No, I just asked you, did you lie?
Of course I didn't.
Good, okay. By the way, was the Prime Minister informed through all of this process?
Yes.
And he was right there with you on it all?
Yes, of course.
Decisions
we are a partnership.
What you said on November the 4th?
Yes, we are a partnership. We have a budget board. The Prime Minister, Keir, and myself met regularly to discuss the budget and the choices, because these are the choices of this government. And I'm really proud of the choices that we made to cut waiting lists, to cut inflation, and to build up that resilience in our economy.
The clash between Rachel Reeves and Trevor Phillips exposed just how much pressure the Labour government is under. Phillips went straight for the jugular with one brutal question. Did you lie? Reeves initially tried to shift the conversation toward child poverty and Labour's broader goals, which only encouraged Phillips to push harder. It wasn't until the third attempt that she finally delivered the direct answer he wanted. Of course I didn't. Reeves then moved to reframe the issue entirely, presenting the budget as a moral project, lifting kids out of poverty, cutting inflation, and fixing the economy. She also emphasized that Prime Minister Keir Starmer was involved at every stage, describing their relationship as a partnership. That wasn't just clarification. It was political strategy, spreading responsibility across the top of government and reinforcing unity. In the end, the exchange showed two opposing forces, a journalist demanding blunt simplicity and a chancellor trying to protect her credibility while defending tough fiscal decisions. The moment was tense, revealing how carefully Reeves must navigate the scrutiny that comes with steering the country's economic agenda.
We just spoke to the Chief Secretary to the Treasury, James Murray. He seems to be saying that there's no problem that Rachel Reeves kept this £4.2 billion of surplus secret on November the 4th when she gave her, let's call it her scaremongering Cheerios speech, as we all now recognise it, early in the morning, warning that tax rises were coming, because she just wanted to do that to increase her fiscal headroom. I then pointed out to him that it was a complete deceit and a lie to make out that there was a 20 billion black hole in the finances when there wasn't. He is trying to justify it as saying, well, the Chancellor has to make choices depending on the information she receives at the time. What's your reaction to that excuse? Because I didn't find it particularly credible. I made the point to Mr. Murray, why didn't she tell us that we were 4.2 billion in surplus at the end of October?
Yeah, so I think the Chancellor has got some very serious questions to answer, and I really hope that she comes herself to Parliament tomorrow to answer questions from members of Parliament rather than sending another minister in her stead. Honestly, the government obviously is democratically elected. The government can make decisions. The government can make those choices. But I think that, if she's got one piece of information and then goes out and says that something else is happening, that's very destabilising for confidence of households and of the market. So she's got very serious questions to answer about why on earth she went out there to do that pre-budget speech, which is almost unheard of in this country. We don't have that system in place. I do think there are broader questions about whether the entire budget process is fit for purpose. I think it isn't. I think the public would benefit from there being far more transparency and to adopt a system where we see a draft budget and then we have proper debate over a period of time.
More transparency than we had over the last 6 weeks of pitch rolling of a budget. We're going to put up tax. Oh no, we're not. We're going to freeze thresholds. Almost every aspect of that budget was leaked in some way or the other. Now, a previous Chancellor, Hugh Dalton, had to resign when he went to the pub with a journalist and leaked one aspect of the budget he was about to deliver. So you want more transparency. How much transparency do you want?
Look, I don't think leaks are transparency, because don't forget that amongst all those leaks, many of those leaks have come to pass, but many of them haven't. And so the public were left not knowing which taxes would go up, which ones wouldn't, whether there was going to be an overhaul of particular tax systems, whether other ones were going to be would just be left to have tinkering around the edges. What I would like to see is a budget that is published up front as a draft budget, rather than just giving MPs 4 days to debate that budget. We should have, some serious time to debate it properly, to see all the different arguments, so you can tease out the differences between, say, the Treasury and the OBR.
Then you're in danger, perhaps, of a budget being tweaked to the disgruntlement of backbenchers. I mean, that's already been the case with the last one.
That was going to be my last.
Well, I was going to say, and then to the disgruntlement of rival MPs. Why aren't you calling for the Chancellor and indeed the PM, if he knew about the surplus and also didn't tell the public, to resign?
Because I think that the Chancellor needs to come and answer questions in the House of Commons first.
Hang on a minute, Daisy Cooper. How many times in the last Parliament did you repeatedly call for the likes of Boris Johnson and then Rishi Sunak and indeed Liz Truss to resign? Why are you only ever calling for people on the right to resign and not people on the left? Surely if the Chancellor has lied to the public, lied to politicians, lied to the House and misled the markets, it's a resignation offence, open and shut.
Look, in the last Parliament, I think there were very, very good reasons as to why we did call for Boris Johnson and Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak to resign. And if you look,
why were you calling for Rishi Sunak to resign? What did he have to resign over?
I can't remember whether maybe it wasn't him. It was probably many of the other ministers.
Hang on a minute. You'd called for so many people to resign that you can't remember why you called for them to resign.
Well, let's remember the last Parliament was in such chaos.
For Partygate. So you've called for Boris Johnson to resign over Partygate, Kwasi Kwarteng to resign over the budget chaos, Rishi Sunak over tax affairs and COVID fraud losses. You asked for Priti Patel to resign over refugee handling. You asked for Richard Sharp to resign over the Gary Lineker row. He was the BBC chairman. Let's not forget, and we'll get onto this in a minute, you're constantly asking for Robbie Gibb to resign. And you don't want the Chancellor or the PM to resign when they have been found to have lied in a budget.
Well, on all of those previous cases, we have been asking questions before it got to the point that we called for them to resign. I think the case of Rachel Reeves, she hasn't answered questions yet. No, Boris Johnson was asked several times. He was asked questions in Parliament several times over. He was given many occasions to answer questions in the House of Commons chamber.
You were still calling for him to resign before he answered questions in Parliament, though, weren't you?
No, but there were several questions asked.
Because the Lib Dems are quite cosy with Labour and you don't mind it because they're on the left like you are? They'd much rather have a go at righties.
There is absolutely nothing cosy about the Liberal Democrats and Labour right now.
Cosy at
they have
PMQs.
They are bringing in a stealth tax on both households and on high streets. We have called that out. We have slammed their budget as having nothing in it to promote growth, nothing in it to alleviate the cost of living. That isn't a sign of a cosy relationship. That's us being a constructive opposition that holds the government to account.